All your research of the fair tax, how much, I know right now with our taxes, I think we take in like 2.5 trillion or
Right.
something like that. How much do you anticipate that if we started this tomorrow, that this, how much revenue this would generate?
It will generate enough to pay our debt and to pay the government, to run the government, okay? The only problem that I see, no matter what tax system you go to, if we don't control spending, okay, no matter what tax system you go to, it's not going to work, okay? And right now, the way the government's spending, all the figures I have were of 2005. They've got some new figures out now. We're at $14 trillion in debt.
Approaching
Okay.
15 trillion, yeah.
Well, but that's only the debt they're telling us about. I've heard estimates up to $100 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
That's because
Okay.
we're as we go.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So until we stop the spending, and really no tax system we go to is going to work. 'Cause, they're just going to keep on spending and spending and spending, and we have to stop that also. So it's really it's a twofold thing. We got to change the tax code. I think the fair tax is the easiest way to go because everybody pays. Nobody's able to get out of it, and we have to control spending. And
Balanced budget amendment.
right, what was your name again, sir?
Joel.
Joel. Okay, I'm bad with names. Okay,
That's
that's why I keep mine in my wallet. Okay. And one of the things we have to work for also, in my opinion, is a balanced budget amendment. Okay. Who was it that said when the people find out they could vote themselves money, it'll be the end of our democracy?
Jefferson.
So I think it was Jefferson. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But and that was another thing I find a lot of people don't understand. And this goes off on the side note though, is that we are not a democracy. Okay, we are a republic. Okay, with democratic principles. And I ask people every so often, what form of government do we have? Oh, we have a democracy. I went, really?
That's because the idiots never paid attention to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. They're not taught it in school. They're taught it in school. We are a democracy.
You don't want to offend anybody. You can't do that now.
Well, I've never been politically correct. I tried to, didn't like it, and
I always am.
you know, so I tend to tick people over things like that. But a couple things that the fair tax is going to fix real quickly. It'll make it easier. One thing I forgot to tell you is, do you know the IRS has more investigators on its payroll than the FBI and the CIA combined?
But now with the fair tax, you can fire all them, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
There will be
Okay.
no IRS, right?
There'll be no IRS. Well, there'll be for the first couple of years because they're still going to be trying to collect all the back taxes from people that did not pay. Okay, but it's not going to be as large, and then eventually it's going to go away. And that's the other thing with the fair tax bill. You got 5 years to get the 3/4 of the states to approve it. Okay, if it's not approved within 5 years, we go back to the income tax system.
So you got to keep them on the payroll.
Right. So you have to, once we get this through, that we have to push to get the states to approve, to adopt it. And the way things are going right now, I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem as the way that, you know, if half of what I see on TV is true.
So where is it now, so far as?
This is the first time we actually had a full a hearing in House Ways and Committee on the fair tax. Up until this year, we could not even get any committee to hear it because both Republicans and Democrats don't like it because it takes away their power. And you know, and I insult my Republican friends when I tell them that Republicans don't like it because it takes away their power. But more and more people are signing on to it because they're realizing that the Tea Party, okay, has grown, and this last election we had, we put a lot of people in office that would never have made it in office. And they're raising hell in Congress.
Thank God.
Okay? Unfortunately, we don't have enough for them to have a strong enough position to do what they want, but they got strong enough position where they're able to get some of the stuff done. Okay, we just got to continue to fight. And it's people like us, Tea Party people want smaller government, more accountability. We have to keep on pushing it and not fall asleep again.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Couple questions. Herman Cain has the 999
Yes, sir.
plan. Address that a little bit, and also address the candidates that are on the stage tonight. Who is for this and who is not?
Michelle Bachman's for it. Okay. Herman Cain in the past has been for the fair tax. He come up with this 999 plan, I think, more to be more electable. Because if you looked at what happened to Huckabee in the last time, he was a big fair tax guy, and the media distorted what he was saying. And if you look at a lot of your local politicians, okay, who come out and support the fair tax, their opponents have distorted it. They've scared people. So I think I really think what he's doing is making it easier for people to understand, coming out with something that he can get majority of the voters to back. Okay, what's his name? Johnson, the governor from what? Indiana, Illinois, Indiana. He's a fair tax supporter. There's
Ron Paul is too, isn't he?
Ron Paul is more of a flat tax guy, I thought. Okay. Matter of fact, he just come out with a plan on cut and spending $1 trillion in 4 years. Okay. But I think really the beating up that a lot of politicians got during the last election over the fair tax, a lot of them have shied away from making it part of their campaign. Because you heard things like it's 33%. It's going to 33% on top of $100, where so it's going to cost you $133 instead of $100, and it was totally distortion. Renee Elmas, my congresswoman, she got beat up by Etheridge, where he came out with and total out and out lies about the fair tax, and that hurt her. Of course, she wasn't really strong in her defense of it anyway, but I think that's made a lot of politicians shy away. They don't know enough about it to really discuss it. They like it, they've seen it, but to get out there and actually debate it with somebody, they're not up to it. That's about the best answer I give you on that. And as far as Herman Cain's 999 plan, I really haven't looked into it that much, so I can't really say a whole lot about it. All I know, 9% corporate tax, 9% income tax, 9% sales tax. As long as it stays like that, it should be.
It feels like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it should work.
And I thought it was a bridge of some kind.
Yeah.
What I
And-
saw on his website was he was talking about that as a step to
Yeah.
fair tax.
Right.
That's what I understood
Right.
too.
That's why when they came out with the tax holiday, I'm sorry. When they were talking about the last stimulus bill, some of the politicians, conservative politicians, libertarians, were saying instead of giving the banks and all these companies these trillions of dollars, why don't we just tell the people, you got 6 months you don't pay no tax? Because we would have spent it a lot better than the government. Okay, well, of course they didn't do that. And the reason they didn't do that, because when somebody realized they could have had $756 instead of $557, okay, there's no way in heck they were going to go ahead and let it go back to paying it. Okay. The other thing is, which I forgot about, depending on who you talk to, we have anywhere from $11 trillion to $17 trillion sitting offshore. Okay, our corporate tax rate is the highest in the industrialized world. Okay, think of what happened if they didn't have to pay that tax and that money came in. What it would do to our economy. I'll tell you what it will do to our economy. 9/11, when the Twin Towers came down, right before that, Congress gave them a tax holiday. They dropped the rate from 35%, I think it was to 15%. And all that money came in offshore the same time the Twin Towers came down. That's one of the reasons our economy didn't take a nosedive. It stopped for a second, you know, like I hit a bump in the road, but they had like $11 trillion come in that individual investors took and put back into the economy. It actually saved our economy. So, yeah, you let them take that money offshore and bring it in. And that money's sitting offshore, think about it. They pay taxes on it in whatever country it was made. Okay, so they already pay taxes on that money. They bring it in, they pay taxes on it again. They give it to their stockholders as dividends. They pay taxes on it again. Okay? So really, why do they want to bring that money in when they're going to lose 35% of it right off the top? So it sits there and builds up, and as they need it, they bring a little bit in at a time as they need it, so it don't hurt them as much.
Are you talking about the Cayman Islands or something like that?
Yeah, Cayman Islands, or wherever it is, the banks are offshore. They're just sitting there. And once that money comes in, it's going to put a big shot in the arm to the economy.
Even if it's in other countries like Japan or China or
Yeah.
Mexico, their tax rate is lower, so they just leave it there.
Yeah. Like I
If we
said,
could bring
have
that money back in tax-free, like he said, factories would come back to this country.
Well, that's the other thing, see, if we had no income tax, okay, no payroll tax, we become a tax haven. We become a tax haven for everybody else. When Chrysler was bought out by,
The government.
no, but before that, the first time. Yeah, thank you. Okay, why did they move their headquarters to Germany? Germany had a lower corporate tax rate than we did. So they could save more money that way. Okay, of course, Chrysler had to get bailed out again, but, you know, that's just the facts of life. But people would start bringing their corporate headquarters to our country because no income tax. They'll save money. They'll start investing in this country. No capital gains tax. Okay, they get to keep all their money. They'll start investing. And what happens when they invest? The banks get all this money to invest. They have more money to lend out. They don't have to worry about some crazy tax code, so they're more lenient with their money. Right now, the way the tax code is, they say these people are sitting on money. They are. They're sitting on it. I don't blame them. They don't know
create a lot of jobs.
It would create a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs. And a lot of jobs that so-called Americans won't do, they would do.
You gotta get them IRS workers somewhere to work.
Well, you know, one of the things I like is when people talk about what about this guy losing his job or this guy losing a job. When the automobile was invented, what happened to the guys that made the buggy whips?
They lost their job.
They went and got another job.
Yeah.
Okay? The guys that fixed the carriages for the horse and buggy, they became mechanics back then. Okay? They created more jobs in a different industry, so they just went from this industry to that industry, and that's what would happen here. If the jobs are there, okay, the people are going to move to where the jobs are.
A lot of the IRS jobs are farmed out to other countries anyway, because China does a lot of our income tax stuff too. You know, when it comes to when you file your income tax, the person who does my taxes, China now does
We had to let them do that
a
to keep
lot
them
of
getting from
income
California.
tax.
Well, no, we have to probably have to let them do that because we owe them so much money and they
Yeah.
We
dictate to
still
us.
give them $150 billion a year in aid. I read that the other day.
No,
We still give them
Yeah, but you
aid.
tell me, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? Okay? We're giving a country that hates us. Oh, they love us because they're taking our money. But if they had the chance to, they'd bury us, and we're giving them money. Okay, and we're letting them. We're selling our debt to them. You know.
Well, we've made, that's history.
Yeah.
You know, our guys over there fighting in Afghanistan now, guess who gave them the weapons in the 70s?
Well, yeah, we did.
We did.
But again, the only thing we could do is say we made mistakes in the past, like my history teacher here we were talking about earlier. If you study the past, okay, you can look to the future. But if you don't know what happened in the past, you keep on making the same mistakes. And that's what we've been doing. We've just been spinning on wheels, making the same mistakes, making the same mistakes.
So one more question about the fair tax. The fair tax eliminates all other taxes.
Yes.
And the fair tax is just a tax on what you buy, and
New goods.
New goods.
And services.
and services.
And services. Everybody's
And
doing.
services.
Yes.
Okay.
How about state tax? Is that legal?
That's totally different. Okay, that's a state level issue. But if you look at it, states that have a state income tax, how do they base their state income tax? Off the federal income tax. Okay? So there's no federal income tax for them to base it off. What are they going to end up doing? They either keep a state income tax, or they're going to go to some type of a fair tax also. And again, if you're not paying a federal tax, and all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, wow, the state's taking this money? Why am I letting the state do to me what the federal government's not doing to me? There'll be an uproar. It would change. It would change. It just take a little longer, that's all. But right now we're just worried about the federal level because that's our biggest concern, and they take most of our money. You know.
Would that also include property tax or property tax?
That's local.
Yeah.
Local.
That's local. That's local. That has nothing to do with the federal tax.
What about
It's
payroll
not
tax?
federal
All-
tax.
Payroll tax is gone. Okay. Pay-
How about tax on Social Security?
That's payroll tax. That's done.
The payroll tax is gone. The only, anything dealing with the income tax, payroll tax, inheritance tax, all those federal taxes are gone. The only thing you have is when you go buy that thing of ketchup, if it costs $100, it's going to show you $77, and then it's going to show you pay $23 for it, costs $100.
Talk about how it affects Social Security. I know you don't have the payroll tax anymore, but Social Security will still exist.
Okay. Under the fair tax takes in enough money to fund Social Security, welfare, and Medicaid. All that's included. So again, all those people that are not paying taxes now put into the system. So those that are retired now, they don't have to worry about their Social Security. People like me, they're almost that way, don't have to worry about it. And then you take the young ones, if I was 25, 30 right now, I'm sorry, I have no problem investing. No problem at all, because over the long term, if you keep your money invested over the long term, everything I've read, you come out ahead. It's that most people, what happens is, when the market takes a drop, they panic, they pull the money out, they lose. But if they left it in for the long haul, and it went up, rode it up and down, they end up making a lot more money. And that's the other thing with the Social Security. The government takes your money every month, every paycheck. They take your money. And what are you paying? $40,000, $50,000 over a lifetime, $60,000, $100,000, whatever it is. Okay, you die. You haven't drawn anything out of the system. You die. What do you get? $250. Okay, the government gets to keep all your money that you gave them. Okay, and if you think about it, when they came out with the Social Security system, what was the average age of a male?
About 60.
About 60 years old. Yeah. Okay. Well, they put the Social Security, collect Social Security, was it 62? I don't.
62, 65.
Yeah. Okay. Figuring if anybody lived that long, the most we have to pay them is 2 years. Okay. So the government was like, most of the people are going to drop dead before they get any money out of it, so we'll get to keep all this money. Well, unfortunately, our lifestyle has improved. We're living longer, okay? So the people on Social Security, they collect longer. The whole idea of everybody dropping dead early just didn't work out for the government.
I know, they already owe Social Security right now $38 trillion.
Yeah. And
That they've taken and used everywhere else.
well, you know, yeah, they have. there's a box of IOUs, we owe you, and where are they gonna get that money from?
Right, 38 trillion
Yeah,
dollars.
where are they gonna get it from?
China.
They're gonna print it. What happens when they print too much money?
Values the dollar.
Devaluates it, and inflation goes up. And if you look what's going on right now, okay, these Occupy Wall Street people, okay, look back in history, okay, look back in history, and just take a look what happened when, what Lenin was telling the people when he was taking over Russia. Think about it. We're going to take the money from the rich, we're going to give it to you. You don't have to worry, okay? And what happened when he finally took over? A lot of those people that were supported him got thrown in jail because they realized he had lied to them. He just wanted power. And you look at some of the other countries right now. You just again go back in history and look what they were told and look what happened. Okay, if we don't do something now, as far as now we're off the Fair Tax back to the Tea Party thing. Okay. If we don't stand together and start educating people, you know, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. But we got, what, a year and 1 month to make a change?
Well, if Congress won't do it, what do?
We vote somebody else in.
And if they don't get indoctrinated or something?
We vote somebody else in. That's the whole idea. You start throwing some of these people out, you put somebody in, and they don't do what they promise you do, you vote them out the next. Your congressman every 2 years. They're up for re-election every 2 years. Okay? You do that once or twice. Do you think somebody's not going to get the point? And the idea, like, man, if I promise them this, I better stick to my guns, otherwise I won't have a job in 2 years.
That's like Randy Stewart in the from Nash County went to the house in Raleigh. He was up there 2 years and promised he was going to do all this stuff. He didn't. 2 years, he's back home.
Yeah.
Sent somebody else up there.
Yeah, and that's the only way to make it work. Since we don't have term limits, okay, that's the only way to make it work. You hold their feet to the fire. Call them up. You know, my congresswoman, I kind of burnt my bridge with her because she made certain promises, and I called her out on it, and they got upset. But I'm like, you said you supported the fair tax when you were campaigning. You said you would co-sponsor it if got elected. You didn't co-sponsor it, and now you're telling me that, well, you know, I was elected to serve all the people in the 2nd District, and some of the people don't like the fair tax. I'm sorry. That's not what the whole thing was about. Okay? You know, if you said you're going to do something, do it. If you're not going to do it, well, then next time I'm not going to vote for you.